Once upon a time in a distant era, 12 men followed a master named Jesus of Nazareth. These men, known as the Apostles, dedicated their lives to spreading the message of love, hope, and redemption that Jesus taught. However, their journeys were marked by challenges and tragedies, culminating in painful endings that sealed their eternal commitment to the faith they upheld. The Apostles were not just ordinary followers. They were close friends of Jesus, witnesses of his miracles, and confidants of his teachings. They left their normal lives behind and embraced a path of uncertainty and danger. Each of them faced unique challenges, but all shared a common destiny of sacrifice for their faith. In this video, we will explore the stories of these extraordinary men. Each apostle had a life filled with adventures and trials, culminating in tragic endings that reinforced their commitment to Christ's message. Let's delve into the life of each of them, starting with Peter, the impetuous leader. Simon Peter, a simple fisherman from Galilee, had a tranquil life until the day he met Jesus. The encounter occurred on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus called Peter to follow him, promising to make him a fisher of men. Peter, known for his impulsive nature and fervent heart, became the natural leader of the apostles, often speaking and acting on behalf of the group. Once, Peter witnessed Jesus walking on water during a storm. In his characteristic boldness, he asked Jesus to allow him to walk on water as well. However, feeling the strong wind, Peter began to sink, but Jesus promptly rescued him, rebuking him for his lack of faith. This episode reflected Peter's nature, courageous, yet sometimes wavering. After Jesus' resurrection, Peter assumed a crucial role in the early church. His inspired preaching led thousands to convert during Pentecost. However, his journey was not without trials. In Rome, Peter was imprisoned and eventually sentenced to crucifixion. In an act of humility, he asked to be crucified upside down, as he did not consider himself worthy to die in the same manner as his master. Thus, Peter sealed his fate, becoming a martyr whose unwavering faith would inspire future generations. Andrew, the devoted missionary. Andrew, Peter's brother, was also a fisherman before following Jesus. He was the first to recognize Jesus as the Messiah and quickly told Peter about his discovery. Andrew was known for his missionary spirit, often bringing others to meet Jesus. One of the most touching stories about Andrew occurred when he found a boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish. Andrew brought the boy to Jesus, who performed the miracle of multiplication, feeding thousands of people. This event symbolized Andrew's role as a connector, always bringing others closer to Jesus. After Jesus' resurrection, Andrew traveled extensively to preach the gospel. His journey took him to Greece, where he faced strong opposition. Eventually, Andrew was arrested and sentenced to death. He was bound to an X-shaped cross where he continued to preach for 2 entire days before passing away. Even in his final moments, Andrew demonstrated unshakable faith, converting many who heard his last words. James, the son of thunder. James, son of Zebedee and brother of John, was one of the apostles closest to Jesus. Along with Peter and John, he witnessed crucial moments, such as the transfiguration of Jesus and his agony in the Garden of Gethsemane. James and John were known as sons of thunder, a nickname given by Jesus due to their zeal and intensity. James had a significant presence in the early days of Christianity. He was a courageous leader, always ready to defend his faith. His dedication did not go unnoticed, and he became a target of persecution. King Herod Agrippa I, seeking to please the Jewish leaders, ordered James's execution. He was beheaded in Jerusalem, becoming the first apostle to suffer martyrdom. James's death was a severe blow to the Christian community, but his legacy of courage and faithfulness continued to inspire his followers. He demonstrated that true faith might demand the ultimate sacrifice. His life and death exemplified unwavering commitment to Jesus' teachings and the willingness to give everything in the name of truth. John, the apostle of love. John, brother of James and son of Zebedee, was one of the apostles most beloved by Jesus. Known as the beloved disciple, John had an intimate relationship with Jesus, often described as the one who rested his head on the Master's chest during the Last Supper. He was one of the few apostles present at Jesus' crucifixion, receiving the responsibility of caring for Mary, Jesus' mother. John is traditionally considered the author of the Gospel of John, the 3 epistles of John, and the book of Revelation. His writings reflect a profound understanding of divine love and the nature of Christ. After Jesus' ascension, John continued to preach and teach, eventually being exiled to the island of Patmos because of his faith. During his exile, he had visions that resulted in the writing of Revelation, a prophetic book offering hope and comfort to persecuted Christians. Despite facing persecutions and exile, John was the only apostle to die of natural causes. He lived to an old age, dedicating his life to God's service and the Christian community. His longevity and perseverance made him a symbol of unshakable love and devotion. Philip, the dedicated evangelist. Philip was one of the first to be called by Jesus and played a significant role in Christ's ministry. He is known for bringing Nathanael, Bartholomew, to Jesus, saying, "We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, and about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." Philip had an evangelistic heart and was always eager to share the good news. One of Philip's most notable moments was during the feeding of the 5,000, where he expressed concern about how to feed the crowd, demonstrating his practical and caring nature. After Jesus' ascension, Philip continued to preach the gospel, traveling through various regions. His journey took him to Hierapolis in Asia Minor, where he faced strong resistance for his preaching. Philip was arrested and sentenced to death. He was crucified upside down, like his companion Peter, and continued to preach even while suffering. His dedication to the end inspired many to follow the Christian faith, leaving a legacy of courage and commitment. Bartholomew, the man without deceit. Bartholomew, also known as Nathanael, was introduced to Jesus by Philip. When Philip told Nathanael that he had found the Messiah, Nathanael skeptically replied, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" However, upon meeting Jesus, Nathanael was convinced by his wisdom and insight, being described by Jesus as a true Israelite in whom there is no deceit. Bartholomew became a dedicated follower of Jesus, and after Christ's ascension, traveled extensively to preach the gospel. His missionary journey took him to Armenia, where he faced intense persecution. Bartholomew was captured by enemies of the faith and met a cruel fate. He was flayed alive and then beheaded. His horrific death was not in vain, as his unwavering faith inspired many to embrace Christianity. Bartholomew's story highlights the courage needed to defend the faith in the face of extreme adversity. His dedication and sacrifice are remembered as an example of how true faith can sustain a person, even in the most terrible circumstances. His legacy continues to inspire Christians to maintain their faith, regardless of the trials they may face. Thomas the Doubter Transformed. Thomas, often remembered as Doubting Thomas, is perhaps the most famous apostle for his skepticism. When the other apostles told him that Jesus had risen, Thomas declared he would not believe until he saw and touched Jesus' wounds. Jesus, knowing Thomas's heart, appeared again and invited him to touch his wounds, saying, "Do not be unbelieving, but believing." Thomas, moved by this experience, exclaimed, "My Lord and my God." After this event, Thomas transformed into a fervent defender of the faith. He traveled to India, where he established several Christian communities. His preaching attracted many followers but also aroused the hostility of local leaders. Eventually, Thomas was captured and martyred, being pierced by spears. His martyrdom sealed his transformation from doubt to faith, and he is revered as the founder of the Christian Church in India. Thomas's story is a powerful testament to the capacity for transformation through faith. From a confessed skeptic, he became one of the most ardent defenders of Christianity. His life and death inspire everyone to seek the truth with courage and to stand firm in their convictions, even in the face of opposition. Matthew, the transformed tax collector. Matthew, also known as Levi, was a tax collector before following Jesus. His profession made him unpopular among the Jews, as tax collectors were often associated with corruption and collaboration with the Romans. However, when Jesus called Matthew to follow him, he immediately left everything behind and became one of the 12 apostles. Matthew is traditionally considered the author of the Gospel of Matthew, which highlights Jesus' teachings and his fulfillment of Old Testament prophecies. After Jesus' ascension, Matthew preached the gospel in various regions, including Ethiopia, where he faced strong resistance. He was martyred while conducting his ministry, being killed by the sword. His life is a testament to transformation and redemption, transitioning from a despised tax collector to a fervent apostle. Matthew's story is a powerful reminder of the potential for redemption and change through faith. He abandoned a life of wealth and corruption to become a dedicated follower of Christ. His journey is an inspiration for those seeking a new beginning and a life dedicated to higher principles. James, son of Alphaeus, the lesser-known apostle. James the Less is one of the lesser-known apostles but played a significant role in the early Christian community. He is often identified as James, son of Alphaeus, and some scholars believe he may be the same James who led the church in Jerusalem. Despite his apparent obscurity, James was a man of deep faith and dedication. James was a humble and devout man, known for his righteousness and piety. He worked tirelessly to consolidate the Christian faith and guide the young church. His preaching attracted many followers but also provoked the anger of Jewish religious leaders. Eventually, James was arrested and condemned to death by stoning in Jerusalem. His martyrdom was a testament to his faith and dedication to Christ's mission. James the Less's story reminds us that even those who operate outside the spotlight can have a profound impact. His life of quiet service and devotion shows that true greatness in God's kingdom is not measured by fame but by faithfulness and dedication. Thaddeus, the unknown apostle. Thaddeus, also known as Judas, son of James, is another apostle about whom we know little. He is often confused with Judas Iscariot, but their stories are very different. Thaddeus was known for his devotion and zeal in preaching the gospel. He was always willing to follow Jesus, demonstrating unwavering loyalty. After Jesus' ascension, Thaddeus traveled to various regions to spread Christ's message. He worked tirelessly in Mesopotamia and Persia, converting many to Christianity. However, his preaching attracted the attention of local leaders who saw him as a threat. Thaddeus was martyred, being killed with an axe. His courage and determination in the face of adversity serve as an inspiring example for all Christians. Thaddeus' story highlights the importance of courageous faith and the willingness to face challenges for the greater good. Even without the notoriety of other apostles, Thaddeus played a crucial role in spreading Christianity. His life and death are testimonies of unwavering dedication to Christ's mission and his call to preach the gospel. Simon the Zealot, the passionate zealot. Simon the Zealot was known for his zeal and passion for the faith. Before following Jesus, he likely was part of the Zealots, a Jewish faction that sought Israel's liberation from Roman rule. However, upon meeting Jesus, Simon channeled his fervor into spreading the gospel. Simon traveled extensively, preaching Christ's message in places as far as Persia and Ethiopia. His preaching was met with resistance, and he faced many adversities. Eventually, Simon was arrested and condemned to death. He was sawn in half, a terrible death that he faced with courage and faith. Simon the Zealot left a legacy of unwavering and passionate devotion. Simon's life is an example of the transformative power of faith. From a political revolutionary, he became a fervent apostle of Christ. His story shows that regardless of our past, we can be transformed by Jesus' message and dedicate our lives to a greater purpose. Judas Iscariot, the traitor. Judas Iscariot is a tragic and controversial figure among the apostles. Known for being the group's treasurer, he ended up betraying Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. His act of betrayal led to Jesus' arrest and crucifixion, an event that forever changed Christian history. Judas became known as the traitor, marked by his fateful choice. Remorseful and consumed by guilt, Judas tried to return the money to the religious leaders, but was rejected. Desperate, he hanged himself, ending his life tragically. Judas's story serves as a grim reminder of the consequences of betrayal and remorse. He is a figure that reminds us of human fragility and the need for vigilance against temptation. Despite his betrayal, Judas's story also brings reflection on redemption and forgiveness. Although his end was tragic, he played an important role in fulfilling prophecies and realizing the divine plan. His life is a warning to all of us about the choices we make and their eternal consequences. Matthias, the chosen one. After Judas Iscariot's death, the apostles chose Matthias to replace him, restoring the number of 12. Matthias was chosen by lot after fervent prayer, indicating the apostles' trust in divine guidance. He was a follower of Jesus from the beginning, accompanying the ministry and witnessing the resurrection. Matthias dedicated his life to preaching the gospel, traveling to various regions to spread Christ's message. He faced many difficulties and eventually was martyred. Matthias was stoned and beheaded in Jerusalem, sealing his fate as a committed apostle. His inclusion among the 12 shows the importance of continuity and unity in the apostolic mission. Matthias's story highlights the importance of being ready to serve when called. He stepped into a crucial role in a moment of need, showing willingness and faith. His life and martyrdom are remembered as examples of faithfulness and courage, even in the face of challenges and dangers. The apostles played a crucial role in spreading Christianity. Their lives were marked by courage, faith, and sacrifice. They laid the foundations of the church, wrote sacred texts, and inspired generations of Christians to follow in their footsteps. Despite the tragic endings many of them faced, their legacies continue to live through the teachings and traditions of the church. Each apostle, with their unique stories and spiritual journeys, significantly contributed to the growth and strengthening of the Christian faith. As we reflect on the tragic end of the apostles, we are reminded of the power of faith and sacrifice. They show us that despite adversities, devotion to a greater cause can inspire lasting change in the world. May their stories inspire us to live with courage and unwavering faith. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment your opinions below. Until next time.